What if I told you that right now, sitting in laboratories and museums around the world, there are objects that completely defy our understanding of history, science, and human capability? Things that shouldn't exist according to everything we know, yet they're absolutely real. You can touch them, you can study them, but you cannot explain them. Today, we're diving into 3 discoveries that have left the world's brightest minds scratching their heads for decades, and in some cases, over a century. These aren't conspiracy theories or internet hoaxes. These are genuine archaeological and scientific mysteries that challenge the very timeline of human civilization. And here's what makes them truly unsettling. The more we study them, the less sense they make. By the end of this video, you're going to question whether we really understand our own past as well as we think we do. So, let's jump right in. Our first mystery begins in 1901, when a group of Greek sponge divers sought shelter from a storm near the small island of Antikythera. While waiting out the weather, they decided to explore the sea floor and stumbled upon an ancient Roman shipwreck dating back to around 60 BCE. Among the statues, pottery, and other treasures, they found something that would puzzle scientists for over a century. It was a corroded lump of bronze and wood, barely recognizable as anything significant. For decades, it sat in a museum in Athens, largely ignored. But when researchers finally cleaned it and looked closer, they discovered something that absolutely should not have been possible. Inside this ancient artifact were dozens of precisely cut bronze gears, forming the world's first known analog computer. Now, before you think, okay, so they found some old gears, what's the big deal? Let me explain exactly why this discovery shook the scientific community to its core. The Antikythera Mechanism, as it's now called, is a device of such sophisticated engineering that nothing even remotely comparable appears in the historical record for another 1,000 years. We're talking about a machine built around 150 to 100 BCE that could accurately predict astronomical positions, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, and even the dates of the ancient Olympic Games decades into the future. It tracked the movements of the sun, moon, and all 5 planets known to the ancient world with remarkable precision. The level of miniaturization and complexity is staggering. The device contains at least 30 bronze gears, possibly more that have been lost to time, all meshing together in a compact mechanism about the size of a shoebox. The gear teeth were hand-cut with incredible precision. We're talking about tolerances that would challenge even skilled craftsmen today with modern tools. Here's where it gets even stranger. To create something like this, you don't just need one brilliant inventor. You need an entire technological ecosystem. You need metalworking techniques, mathematical understanding of celestial mechanics, precision tools, and a tradition of mechanical engineering that would have taken generations to develop. Yet there's absolutely no evidence of this technology existing before the Antikythera Mechanism, and no evidence of it continuing after. It's as if someone dropped a laptop in the middle of the Stone Age. It's completely out of place in the timeline of human technological development. Modern researchers have spent decades trying to fully understand how it worked. They've used advanced X-ray imaging, computed tomography scans, and created multiple replicas. One scientist described it as like looking at the inside of a Swiss watch, except this watch was built 2,000 years before anyone was supposed to have that kind of engineering knowledge. The big question that haunts researchers is this: if the ancient Greeks or Romans had this level of technological sophistication, what else did they have that's been lost to history? And why did this technology completely disappear? We don't see anything remotely similar until medieval Islamic astronomers started building astrolabes over a millennium later, and even those were simpler devices. Some researchers have suggested that perhaps there was an ancient tradition of gear making that we've simply lost all records of. Others wonder if this was the work of one particular genius whose knowledge died with them. But neither explanation is entirely satisfying because creating the Antikythera Mechanism would have required resources, workshops, and a knowledge base that should have left more traces in the historical record. To this day, we still don't fully understand all of its functions. New research continues to reveal additional capabilities we hadn't noticed before. It's a mystery that only deepens the more we learn about it, and it fundamentally challenges our assumptions about the technological capabilities of the ancient world. Let's shift gears from ancient history to modern astronomy, because our second mystery is equally mind-bending and happened less than 50 years ago. On August 15, 1977, a radio telescope called Big Ear in Ohio was doing what it did every night, scanning the cosmos for interesting signals. The telescope was part of SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and had been listening to the universe for years without hearing anything particularly unusual. That night, however, something extraordinary happened. At 11:16 p.m., Big Ear detected a radio signal unlike anything anyone had ever recorded. It was a strong, narrowband radio signal that lasted for 72 seconds, exactly as long as the telescope's observation window allowed. The signal was so unusual, so precisely what scientists would expect from an artificial extraterrestrial source, that when astronomer Jerry Eman reviewed the data printout a few days later, he grabbed a red pen and circled the reading, writing "Wow" in the margin. That single word would give the signal its name. Now, what made the wow signal so special? Let me break down why this wasn't just some random cosmic noise. First, the frequency. The signal came in at 1420 megahertz, which is extremely significant. This is the natural frequency of hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe. Scientists have long theorized that if an intelligent civilization wanted to send a signal that would be recognized across the galaxy, they would use this frequency because any technologically advanced civilization would know to look there. It's like the universal channel for cosmic communication. Second, the signal's strength. It was significantly stronger than the typical background noise of space. The Big Ear telescope used a numerical system to measure signal intensity, with most cosmic background radiation registering as 1s and 2s. The wow signal? It registered as 6EQUJ5 in the computer system, with U representing the highest intensity the system could measure. This thing was loud. Third, and perhaps most intriguing, the signal appeared to come from a specific point in space, the constellation Sagittarius, from an area with no nearby stars or known celestial objects that could explain it. And here's the kicker. Despite decades of subsequent searches using more advanced equipment, we have never detected that signal again. Scientists have tried everything to explain the wow signal through natural phenomena. Could it have been a comet? A researcher named Antonio Paris suggested this in 2016, proposing that a comet's hydrogen cloud could have created the signal. But other scientists quickly pointed out problems with this theory. The signal was too narrowband, too focused, and comets in that area of space at that time don't fully account for the observations. Could it have been interference from Earth? Unlikely. The frequency was protected for astronomical use, and the signal's characteristics were distinctly different from terrestrial radio interference. Plus, it showed all the hallmarks of having traveled through space, including the expected frequency drift caused by the rotation of the Earth. Could it have been a satellite? Also unlikely for similar reasons, and the Big Ear telescope had sophisticated systems to filter out satellite interference. What's fascinating, and frankly a bit frustrating, is that we only caught this signal once. If it was artificial, if it was someone trying to communicate, why haven't we heard it again? Did they move on? Were they only broadcasting briefly? Or was it a natural phenomenon so rare we simply haven't witnessed it a second time? The WOW signal represents one of the most compelling potential pieces of evidence for extraterrestrial intelligence, yet it remains tantalizingly inconclusive. We can't prove it was aliens, but we also can't prove it wasn't. It sits in that uncomfortable middle ground where the mystery persists because we simply don't have enough data to solve it. And that might be the most unsettling part. In an age where we can detect gravitational waves from colliding black holes billions of light years away, we still can't explain a signal that our own equipment detected right here in our cosmic backyard less than 50 years ago. Our final mystery is something you can actually go see in person if you visit Yale University's Voynich Rare Book Library. It's a medieval manuscript that has defeated every attempt at translation for over a century. And when I say every attempt, I mean efforts by professional cryptographers, linguists, computer scientists, artificial intelligence systems, and even codebreakers who cracked enemy communications during World War II. The Voynich Manuscript is a book of about 240 pages, written in an unknown language or code using an unknown alphabet. It's filled with bizarre illustrations, strange plants that don't match any known species, astronomical diagrams, tiny naked figures in connected pools of liquid, and intricate charts that seem to represent something, but no one knows what. Carbon dating tells us the manuscript was created sometime in the early 15th century, somewhere in Central Europe. But beyond that, almost everything about it is a mystery wrapped in an enigma. Let's start with the text itself. The manuscript contains roughly 170,000 characters, forming about 35,000 words. The writing system has about 20 to 30 different characters, depending on how you count variations. At first glance, it looks like someone simply made up an alphabet. But here's where it gets weird. The text follows linguistic patterns. Real languages have statistical properties. Certain letters appear together frequently, words have typical lengths, and there are patterns in how often different characters are used. Random gibberish doesn't follow these patterns, but the Voynich manuscript does. Computer analysis has shown that the text has linguistic structure similar to natural languages. Some words appear frequently, others rarely. There's a version of Zipf's law at work, which is a statistical pattern found in all human languages. This suggests the text actually means something. It's not just random scribbles. But if it means something, why can't anyone figure out what? Professional cryptographers have thrown every tool at this manuscript. During World War II, codebreakers who were successfully deciphering enemy communications turned their attention to the Voynich manuscript in their spare time. They failed completely. Modern computational methods, including AI systems designed to crack codes and identify languages, have made no meaningful progress. One theory is that it's a cipher, a coded version of a known language. But if that's true, it's unlike any cipher system known from that time period, and the person who created it would have needed incredibly sophisticated knowledge of cryptography that supposedly didn't exist yet. Another theory suggests it might be a constructed language, essentially a medieval version of Esperanto or Klingon. But why would someone go through the enormous effort of creating an entirely new language just to write one book that no one else could read? What would be the point? Then there are the illustrations, which only deepen the mystery. The botanical section shows drawings of plants, but botanists can't identify most of them. A few resemble real plants, but with strange modifications. Are they real plants that have gone extinct? Are they fantastical creations? Are they symbolic representations of something else? The astronomical section has circular diagrams that might represent celestial phenomena, but they don't match any known astronomical charts from the period. The biological section shows small human figures in strange, plumbing-like systems, possibly related to medieval concepts of health or alchemy, but no one can say for certain. Some researchers have claimed to have partially decoded the manuscript over the years. In 2014, a researcher suggested it was written in a form of Mexican Nahuatl. In 2017, another claimed it was Turkish. In 2019, someone else proposed it was Proto-Romance language, but none of these proposed solutions have held up to scrutiny. Each time, other experts examine the methodology and find fatal flaws. The most frustrating part? We can't even be certain whether the Voynich manuscript is genuine or an elaborate hoax. Some researchers believe it might be a 15th century con job created to sell to a wealthy collector as a mysterious book of secrets. There's some historical evidence for this. The manuscript eventually came into the possession of Emperor Rudolph II of the Holy Roman Empire, who reportedly paid a fortune for it, believing it to be the work of Roger Bacon, a famous medieval scholar. But if it's a hoax, it's an extraordinarily sophisticated one. The creator would have needed to understand linguistic patterns well enough to create text that statistically resembles real language. They would have needed to create a consistent writing system across 240 pages without making mistakes. And they would have needed to do all this in the 15th century without the benefit of computers or modern linguistic knowledge. The Voynich manuscript sits behind glass at Yale, beautiful and inscrutable. It represents perhaps the most tangible mystery we can point to. Unlike the wow signal, which happened once and was gone, unlike the Antikythera Mechanism, which we've partially understood, the Voynich manuscript is right there, available for study, and yet it refuses to give up its secrets. So what ties these three mysteries together? On the surface, they couldn't be more different. One is an ancient mechanical device, one is a radio signal from space, and one is a medieval book. But they share something profound. They all challenge our assumptions about what we know. The Antikythera Mechanism tells us that ancient civilizations might have been far more technologically advanced than we've given them credit for. The wow signal hints that we might not be alone in the universe, or at least that there are phenomena out there we don't understand. And the Voynich manuscript suggests that there are mysteries from our own human past that may never be solved, despite all our modern tools and knowledge. These mysteries remind us that for all our scientific progress, for all our advanced technology and vast databases of information, there are still things in this world and beyond that defy explanation. And perhaps that's not a bad thing. Perhaps it's these unsolved mysteries that push us to keep looking, keep questioning, keep trying to understand. Who knows? Maybe by the time you're watching this video, one of these mysteries has been solved. Or maybe new evidence has emerged that makes them even stranger than before. That's the beautiful thing about genuine mysteries. They're not static. They evolve as our technology and understanding improve. But here's the question I'll leave you with. Which of these mysteries do you think is most likely to be solved in your lifetime? The ancient mechanism we can hold in our hands, the signal from space we heard but can't recreate, or the book we can read but can't understand? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found these mysteries as fascinating as I do, you need to see what I've discovered next. Because if unexplained objects are unsettling, wait until you hear about the places on Earth where people who enter simply don't come back the same, if they come back at all. I'm talking about 3 locations so dangerous, so inexplicably deadly, that governments have literally banned humans from going there. And the terrifying part? We still don't fully understand why these places are so lethal. One of them has claimed over 500 lives, and the rescue teams won't even retrieve the bodies anymore. These aren't just dangerous places. They're locations that seem to actively reject human presence in ways that science struggles to explain. Click that next video on 3 mysterious places humans shouldn't explore, and I'll show you why some doors are better left unopened. I'll see you there, if you're brave enough.